do you lose your job for saying that in Parliament? Do you get kicked out? Do you get fined? No, what? So why are you taking an athlete out of a games because he used the F word? Never mind. Later, Mr. Tan Chuan Jin got into deeper trouble, right? Found out he has been having an affair with a mistress for 3 years. 3 years, So the whole time he's been judging my behavior as the SNOC president, he has been effing around outside, fooling the whole world that he's a family man of Christian values.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with some very interesting people, always with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yes.
And today we have a very special someone in front of us who's been on our podcast 3 times already.
Already 3?
3.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I googled it just now. I think the first you came in, we were in the 200s, episode 200s, 217. And with us today, we have marathoner / law student and potential future lawyer / newly married man / competitor in the upcoming Stanchart Marathon / influencer online. None other than Soh Rui Yong.
Mr. Soh is back.
Welcome back to my podcast, guys.
Yeah, welcome back to your podcast.
You're regular already. You know how it goes already, right? Yeah.
This is the 4th time, right?
Yeah, 4th.
Yes.
Well, nice.
4th time, man.
Nice.
The last time you came, I think the context was you had just won the silver medal at the SEA Games,
yes,
right?
That's correct.
He literally brought the SEA Games medal. My first time ever touching a SEA Games medal. The weight was very hefty. And then he brought it and took it out of his jeans pocket and put it on the table. I remember that.
And he was literally saying, "Oh shit, Rui, it would be cool if you brought your medal." He was like, yeah, I brought it.
Gotta share the joy with my favorite podcast, right?
But that was also that was right after SEA Games, so there was that high. But it was also before, the whole saga about the Asian Games and SNOC and everything as well. So it was, even as we released the podcast during a period, some of that stuff happened, and people people who listened to that podcast that we did together were asking, "Oh, is there a reason why you guys didn't release this before, or was it very touchy and all this?" So there actually was. I almost felt for a second like we were part of that everything that was going on because our podcast came out exactly around that time. But here we are.
Yeah.
Well, I think that speaks to the crux of the issue, right? That people don't actually understand what's so wrong with what's the reason behind this what's the justification behind this non-selection? People don't know. People are guessing because it's not clear. There's no clear reason.
Yeah.
Well, what was your whole experience? Because I remember on that podcast you were telling us the selection is going to be announced in next week or the week after.
Yes.
And I could see that you were kind of like excited, looking forward to representing Singapore again, and so that when that came out, just what exactly happened?
So if I were to go back, and this happened half a year ago, so this is purely based off my memory because I didn't know. We didn't prepare questions in advance. I didn't prepare any answers in advance, but I think that's the way to do it. 6 months ago, like you said, came back from the SEA Games. SEA Games went well. I thought I performed really well, especially on 6 weeks. 6 weeks notice that I'll be running the SEA Games. So I've been to 3 SEA Games, right? 2015. I had half a year to prepare for the SEA Games, ran the marathon, got to go. 2017, again, I think I had maybe 6 months, 8 months. I won the marathon by a much bigger margin, 2 minutes. Got to go medal that. Then I missed the 2019 and 2021 SEA Games. 2023 SEA Games, I was only told that I was going with 6 weeks to go. So my preparation was very truncated and I wasn't able to go for my best event, my marathon. I went in the 5 and 10K and I managed to come back with a silver medal. So I've been to 3 SEA Games and came back with 3 medals. So I think my record has been quite as far as performances go, I've been quite happy to maintain that. But I think what was really special about the SEA Games that just happened was that I think there was a viral video that went around after the SEA Games where I helped an Indonesian competitor who had missed this water bottle at the station, and I thought that generated a lot of positive publicity for Singapore. It was actually on the same day that the Singapore esports team got into a quarrel with the Indonesian esports team, we were getting a lot of hate from the Indonesian sports fans. But then my race happened within the next hour or two. So journalists were telling me, hey, thanks, man. Like, you really potentially saved us from World War III. Because the Indonesian fans, they are very, very passionate.
Yeah.
And they're very, very expressive about their opinions, especially with regards to sports. So that kind of like help soothe relations. So I thought I did my part. Carried us well, not just in performances, but in how you conduct yourself as a competitor in the arena as well.
Yeah.
So I would say I was a little bit surprised because I started hearing rumblings on the ground that like Ryong, something is happening, but people weren't very sure yet. But the general senses from people in the know was that they said they didn't feel good about the Asian Games selection. I don't know if someone from within talked. And it's very possible because it seems like there was a concerted effort to dig out months of social media posts, listen to every word and like transcribe every single line of every podcast I had done between March and May this year. There's a lot of effort.
So I mean, just to clarify for people who don't know, there was a 36-page document that I believe the Straits Times had access to that detailed, like what you mentioned, a lot of so-called transgressions that the SNOC found issue with.
Yeah. So do you want to read out some of this supposed transgressions so we can see?
You mean the excerpt?
We don't even need to read it out, but I do remember how extreme some of them were. There was one podcast that we appeared on, the Silver Fox podcast, right?
Yeah, with Shashi.
Shashi, right? His name, yeah. And I think there was they quoted your use of the F word, the F bomb on the podcast multiple times. I mean, I'm just going through the greatest hits, Harish. Like, let me know if I miss out anything big. You took a picture with Titus Low, and there was a comment, "Come bro threesome," that they also found issue with. Titus Low being the Singaporean OnlyFans creator, quite notorious. I believe also that they even certain things that you said where I think you quoted Jose Mourinho. And things that Jose Mourinho has said to the press as well were also.
Well, the line was, "If I speak, I'm in big trouble."
Yeah. And I mean,
like, just one thing. Apparently, from the Silver Fox podcast, it was a 1 hour and 13-minute podcast, and they found 20 issues. 20 issues with the podcast. So they included comments about your public spat with Ashley Liu, and certain things like when you were asked on what representing the country meant to you. And you explain, it would mean different things for everyone, cited an example how it can overwhelm others. Then comments to media. So I mean, just reading it also, it feels like, it's like a lot of subjective issues. So Terence, you're saying the 36-page thing, then that was the basis of not selecting you. Right.
Yes, so I think you're absolutely right. A ton of subjective issues because to me, I mean, I'm a law student. I learn how to make a case. I learn how to argue a case and put forward cases to court. I think that's a high enough barometer to suggest that I understand what it takes to support an argument. Now, if you want to push a sentence, in this case, a sentence is to disqualify someone from the games for whatever reason. All you need is one good reason. You don't need to find 36 pages of subjective stuff and hope something sticks. All you need is one reason. For example, this guy was drunk driving. That breaks the law. He shouldn't. That sets a bad example. We should suspend him for a set period of time. Let's say 1 games or 1 year or whatever it might be. Give him and this is his first offense, so maybe it might be a lesser sentence. It could be a fine, but that's usually how things work. There's an offense, you charge him for the offense, and then you sentence him accordingly. I think that's criminal law, right? And of course, he has a chance to defend himself. There was no trial process or there's no evidence finding or anything with regards to this.
Yeah.
Quietly, obviously, they spent, God knows how long they spent working on this, and they said, okay, we're not selecting him, and these are 36 pages of reasons why.
But going back, did you have a chance to look at the document?
No,
at all.
I saw it after everything happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it. Sorry, I take that back. I saw it before the non-selection was officially announced because what happened was that Singapore Athletics got a document, and they called me immediately. They were like, let's go through this. we may or may not agree with everything that their point of view on these things. But if you want to be selected, we recommend just removing all the posts in question. So I say, okay, fine. Some of these posts are like 3 months old, right? Like, why didn't they say it 3 months ago? Why did, if they have an issue with it, nip it in the bud, right? Why would you sit on something and then 3 months later, 3 months ago you said this, 2 months ago you said that, 1 month ago you said this, therefore we're not selecting you. So it's, to me, and this is my opinion, and let's be careful here because I don't want to potentially ruffle more feathers, but my opinion is that somebody decided that I shouldn't be going. Go find reasons why. Some poor fella had to trawl through the internet to find reasons why, transcribing podcasts and all these things. And like, okay, find this and find that. I don't know if this is strong enough, so let's find something else. And because you can't find a strong enough reason, you have to keep throwing shit against the wall and hope something sticks, you know?
So,
there's a saying for that.
But like you said, that is, I mean, your opinion, lah, right?
That's my opinion.
Think what happened. But I mean,
I only have my opinion. There's no facts have been found because there's been no hearing. There's been no fact finding process. It's just that, it's their opinion that this is subjectively not it's their opinion that I shouldn't be selected because of all these subjective issues. So it's all opinions, but there's no real process to it, is what I'm saying.
Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it, and I think I was also felt very sad and angry that our top distance runner in Singapore, who just fresh off like a very high at the SEA Games and all, was suddenly, for reasons that seemed honestly looked very petty, right? Was suddenly being barred in his prime from competing for a medal at the Asian Games. So I was very upset, and Harish knows that, right? We talked about this a lot in the office and all. But at the same time, when I do bring up this topic to people, they have said to me, I've heard some people saying, but yeah, that's what it means to be a national athlete, right? To play by the rules that the national organization set. And if they say that you have to set a certain example, that's what it is. You just have to play by the rules.
Okay, so what are the rules? What rule are they referring to?
I mean, in general, they say conduct that is becoming of a national athlete.
Okay, so conduct that's becoming of a national athlete. We had an athlete in Silat, I can't remember his name, got convicted in court for was charged for drunk driving. I can't remember whether he was convicted or not convicted at the point of selection, but he was charged for drunk driving. And he was selected to go to the Southeast Asian Games. So is that becoming of a national athlete? So why is he selected and someone else not selected? I completely agree that, as national athletes, there's a responsibility to set an example. I'm not one of those guys who say, no, you know what? F you guys. I do what I want. No, you don't tell me what to do. No, I think I perform within my best ability to be a role model and national athlete. I believe that many people consider me a positive role model. If not, I wouldn't have amassed the following that I have. If no one thinks I'm a good role model, why would they follow you? Why would they listen to what you have to say? I don't think I would have managed to do that. Especially after the Southeast Asian Games, I think people could see that, yes, I compete hard and I try to win, but I'm not completely win at all costs. Especially at the SEA Games, before medals, there's also, apart from medals, there's also friendship, camaraderie, respect for your opponents and things like that, which is I think that I believe in all those things. I don't believe in winning at all costs, because then we can just take drugs and avoid and find a way to avoid drug testing and win. And that's winning at all costs. I'm not a win at all costs guy. I respect values, and I have my value system and my set of morals that I abide by. So if you're gonna, and the selection committee obviously has the discretion. They have a lot. If you read the selection criteria, it offers SNOC unlimited power to select or deselect an athlete purely based on the opinion of the selection committee. All right? And if you're going to do that, you jolly well apply the same standards to every single athlete. Why is it the case that a drunk an athlete who was caught for drunk driving, and this was brought up in Parliament, right? I'm not throwing this guy under the bus. Pritam Singh brought this up in Parliament, and asked why that athlete was selected to go for the Southeast Asian Games, even though he was caught drunk driving. Don't forget, the athlete was Muslim. So I think there's the multiple layers of questionable behavior there. I'm not gonna judge him. I'm in no place to judge him. I enjoy a drink every now and then. I wouldn't drive after I've drunk. I think that's irresponsible behavior. You can actually kill someone. I mean, you're one bad decision away from killing someone when you're drunk driving, right? So is that behavior more acceptable than what did they say again? I can't remember. I can't remember what the reasons they gave were. Cumbro threesome.
Yeah.
So do you get disqualified for saying cumbro threesome, but you don't get disqualified for drunk driving?
Yeah. So
I mean, you guys can give your input whether there's a consistent standard being applied here, and I think that anyone who says no is a little bit blind.
so then in that whole process, because I remember when we recorded with you, you seem fairly optimistic or hopeful that you will be selected.
There was nothing. Yeah, why wouldn't I be?
So then after that, you said you heard some rumblings. Then the Singapore Athletics Association told you that, okay, there's this document we need to go through. So at that point in time, were you already thinking, like, starting to feel that, oh, you might not be selected, or you were still hopeful?
Well, I realized that someone in SNOC or some people at SNOC were out to get me out of the Asian Games. Because I saw the document, I'm like, the level of effort that people are putting into like really minute and petty details. I mean, all the media reports that reported on this issue, the Rise media did a great job of this. I believe that the consensus that the readers got and the view that was presented by commenters and people was that these reasons are all incredibly inconsequential and petty. I mean, you know what? I live in the UK now, right? Like London, I go to school there, but I also really enjoy being in London because there's a good sports culture in London. There's a high performance culture in the UK in general for sport. UK sport is one of the best countries. I mean, UK is one of the best countries in the world for sport. If you look at the Olympics, World Championships, they are always like winning medals. Even though they're not the biggest country in the world, but they hold their own against many of the bigger countries. And UK athletics, as far as I know, based on my interactions with the athletes, there's like, they're deciding which athletes get funding, where we go for altitude training camps, selection of athletes, and that's all done by UK athletics. So similarly, Singapore athletics, right now at least, they're trying to do the same thing, planning out competitions with athletes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I've not heard a single case of a UK Olympic Council coming in and telling the UK athletics who you can select, who you cannot select. This person posted that on social media. I mean, they are focusing on performance. They're focusing on training, funding, winning championships. And over here, we're talking about social media. When you finally have someone that can actually run and win SEA Games medals. I mean, I know no disrespect to any of the other distance runners or track and field guys at the moment. If I don't run, we don't get a medal at SEA Games. It's proven, right? Like since 2015 until now, there's really no one else. And I think that athletes like myself don't come by very often. And I think that rather than spending time and wasting energy talking about I don't know, social media comments, cumbro threesome, which was a joke, by the way. I wasn't actually trying to start a threesome. For context, I posted a photo of Titus Low. My friend Rajbir actually owns iRun. His dad owns Western Corporation. Rajbir is a good friend of mine. He joked. He was like, "Is this the start of your OnlyFans career?" That was his comment, and my reply was, "Come, bro, threesome."
But I see.
And that appeared in a document to justify non-selection.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys can tell me whether that is a little bit over the top or not.
I do want to just explore what you think about this, because you are on the cusp of starting a career, a legal career, right? So that's like the corporate world and everything. And literally yesterday, Harish and I over lunch, we were talking about some of the early learnings that we had in corporate life, Like, I mean, admittedly, even for me, as silly as it sounds, I didn't even the concept of bringing a notebook to a meeting and taking down notes was foreign to me when I started my career. I think for Harish, he had an incident with a banana. He brought a banana to a meeting with his higher ups and then got scolded for it.
Yeah.
So
you don't start with Harish had an incident with a banana.
okay, no, please. But anyway, my point is that the corporate world.
Where are we working?
SIA.
SIA.
Okay.
Sorry, but my point was that the corporate world has certain rules that maybe, that normal life, that we don't have to abide by, right?
Yes.
So some
I
people
agree.
might say that being part of this, national athlete, being wanting to be, selected, everything by SNOC, sort of means playing by some of the unwritten rules, even if it means not upsetting certain people who are leadership in the board and all that.
So do you think selection should be based on like not upsetting certain people?
I mean, that's what people have said when I bring up this issue, that how sad it is and everything. They've said that there's a game and you just have to play.
These are people who work in corporate
corporate
yeah,
or
but I mean, how many SEA Games medals have these guys won? They're not talking about high performance. They're talking about molding into a... Okay, let's talk about corporate. All right, like corporate life is, I think, by all ways and means, I don't think you find people who genuinely enjoy corporate life. We deal with it. We I mean, what is corporate life, right? Corporate life is about companies. Companies are big. Corporations are really big. So to stay safe, and to function, there are rules in place to make sure that employees abide by a certain set of standards. Employees are paid, by the way, so your company is paying you. This is the contract. You abide by these standards. And I think this is covered in the Rise Media article where Kimberly writes that even in corporate life, they're not policed like that. They're not policed like that, and they're paid. Athletes are not paid. Athletes are not paid. How do you make a living as an athlete? No, you train. You either have a job outside, or you have funding outside, or you make a career. You make a career for yourself as a personality. I think one reason why Singapore is really bad in sports, and no one's going to disagree with me that Singapore is bad in sports, right? If Shanti didn't pull off a miracle win at the Asian Games this year, our Asian Games is actually very bad. It's one of the worst Asian Games in recent history, I think, like medal count wise. Partly because Joseph Schooling was no longer competing for us, particularly because the swimmers didn't have a particularly good meet, and usually they are our bank for medals. Shanti really saved the day. You're going to compare the medal count at this Asian Games compared to the previous one. Shanti saved us. Why don't we have athletes doing sports? Why don't we have good athletes? It's extremely hard in Singapore to live in an expensive country. The cost of living increasing. As an athlete, where are you going to get your income? You're going to work in an investment bank and then try and run in your free time? You don't have free time as an investment bank. You're going to be a lawyer and run in your free time? You don't have free time as a lawyer. Which jobs give you free time to? And then when you do have a job that that you might have some time to train, you kind of stick out as a sore thumb as an athlete, because your social circle at work, your colleagues, they don't really do sport. We don't have that culture. After work, they ask you to go for a drink. No, I got to go to the track and run. By doing that, you kind of cut yourself off from a lot of networking opportunities within the company or events or whatever. I mean, as a serious athlete, you train every day, right? As a serious athlete, you train every day, 1 to 2 hours a day, minimum. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to be any good.
Correct.
That's why our standards are low. That's why you take me away, you don't win anything in distance running at SEA Games. But it's not that I'm that good. Just I'm the only one that's doing decent training.
Sure. No, I understand. I understand that point now. That you can't balancing corporate and
yeah. Okay. So sorry, I was getting digressed. But the point is, at least you want them to, and then they run all these Sports Singapore run all these branding workshops and how to create your own brand and all that kind of stuff. These workshops, I've seen some of them. They're run by people who have never marketed have never been experienced at marketing themselves as an athlete and making a living off of that. I saw one of the slides because it was forwarded to me. I was used as a negative example of an athlete, and like if you market yourself like a controversy and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be harder to get sponsors to buy into you. I don't know why they chose to use me as an example. I can tell you that among all the athletes with sponsorship in Singapore, I'm ranked among the top. I can count on one hand the athletes who maybe two hands, athletes that may have made more money than me through sponsorships. And this is your Joseph Schooling, your Loh Kian Yew, your as of now, Shanti. Even last year, Shanti was probably not there. I think that's it. So and I'm not even on their level when it comes to like, Joseph's Olympic medal. Shanti's got Asian Games medal. Can you actually, interestingly, hasn't won a major games gold medal yet. Like SEA Games at best he's silver, but he did have that one world championship during the COVID year. So he and like, good looking boy. So he has a bit of the Korean look, right? So chicks dig that.
So I'm sorry, just don't want to belabor the point, but I do want to put out there that, like when Shanti was on our podcast, one thing she mentioned that really transformed the way she trained and everything was basically quitting her job and treating, her sports, her basically sprinting as her career, right?
Yes.
And that involved sacrifices beyond just like whatever it is on the field. It's on the track. It also sacrifices in terms of like, do I eat this curry puff, this Old Chunky curry puff, in my free time? Do I meet my friends when I know I have something on tomorrow, training tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't have a late night. I have to plan all these things in advance. So wouldn't it be also that if part of the sacrifice involves stuff outside of performance, outside of like, the track, like let's say like specifically in your case, it's in some sense, like what you said, networking and being on friendly terms with everyone as an OC, if that's part of it, is that something you think that you would have done differently to try and get in the good book, so to speak, of the people at SNOC, so that there's a high chance of you to build this career in running as well?
Well, I think that athletes shouldn't have to what do you call this? Athletes, like, they're not our clients, right? Like, okay, if there's a client that you have to schmooze to get a certain deal, fine. Do you expect every single athlete now to go and smoosh the selectors to get selected? Then you get a bunch of athletes who are not basing off, you're not choosing off performance, you're choosing off athletes that you like. And that's why we're shit.
But then like, like let's say even in the media space, right? There are many times that an aspiring creator, an aspiring personality feels that like it's even clear they have the talent.
Yes.
But because the industry itself, it is not as meritocratic as people
You're
think.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
And because there are fewer objective ways to measure the performance of an artist. But when we're talking about subjectivity, we're talking about track and field. We're talking about seconds. You're not going to tell me another sprinter is better than Shanti. Oh, in an artist, okay, maybe this person sell more CDs than that person, or sell more records than that person. But this person is younger, with more potential, better looking. Track and field, no such thing. If you're selecting someone to go for a competition, you select your best guys. It's very clear. Now, as I said, there are some caveats to that.
Yeah.
If I was filmed kicking a cat, or I committed murder, or I raped a girl, or whatever it might be, then you disqualify me. I don't think I have anything to say.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say, he posted this 3 months ago, come bro, threesome, of course, like, I'll be scratching my head. I was like, first of all, why didn't you tell me when that happened? Secondly, is that big an issue? And thirdly, I no matter whether I agree or disagree with you, I took it down. But you're still not going to select me to go? I mean, I think that that was in the public discourse, and obviously it's not a decision that I agree with. Why would I agree with it? But yeah, I don't think this.
So then what happened when you did find out? Because after that,
like I said, I took it down.
When you went through the document with the Athletics Association, when the final decision came out,
yes,
there was no ability to appeal at all.
There was no ability to appeal because what happened was that the selection was actually done last year, and I wasn't selected last year. We appealed after the SEA Games, and they rejected the appeal based on these things.
Oh, so that was already the appeal.
But that being said, we did email in. I did email in one more time after. Super ironic because the guy who was going to my athletic association and telling them, hey, all these things, 36 pages, all these things, was none other than Tan Chuan Jin. So this guy comes and complains about me using F word, using all these things. It's like fairly minuscule and like petty, in my opinion, petty things, and complaining about all these things to my athletics president. Hey, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? Mr. Tan Chuan Jin goes into parliament, forgets that his mic is on, and uses the F word on another parliament, another MP. I think it was James Lim. Did he apologize? No, he only apologized after he got caught. Oh, I didn't know. I only remember when I saw the thing. Okay, mate, let's believe him. Yeah. Sorry. Do you lose your job for saying that in parliament? Do you get kicked out? Do you get fined? No, what? So why are you taking an athlete out of a games because he used the F word? Never mind. Later, Mr. Tan Chuan Jin got into deeper trouble, right? Found out he has been having an affair with a mistress for 3 years. 3 years, you know? So the whole time he's been judging my behavior as the SNOC president, he has been effing around outside, fooling the whole world that he's a family man of Christian values, espousing all these moral values of the SNOC, telling athletes to maintain good conduct and be a role model and all this kind of stuff. When the president is like that, I think that's double standards. And I think that's incredible double standards. So I've already explained how the president of the SNOC is not it's one rule for D, but not for me. I mean, like rules for D, but not for me. Not just that, it's rules for Mr. Drunk Driver from Silat, but not for me either. And now when I give this interview, they're going to say that, oh, you bring sport to disrepute because you keep bringing up the Silat case. No, you're ignoring it. I'm addressing what the real issue is here. I think there's double standards. No, I don't think clearly there's double standards. Who is going to disagree with that?
Has there been anything that has changed? I mean, I'm guessing when you emailed them, they didn't yield anything, right? Has there been anything
they were just like, well, the decision is final.
But has there been anything that has transpired, like with I don't know, any of the discussions around what could have been done better, what should have been done, or like future games?
I mean, like discussions with my athletics association centered around like, okay, to be honest, my athletic association was surprised as well. They were like, oh, I mean, they looked at the document and they're like, I mean, so what choice do they have, right? Even if they disagree, SNOC has the one making
they are the final
calls. I mean, like, so all this while, Singapore Athletics, like the governing body for track and field, has been nominating me for all these meets. Like, yeah, his behavior is okay, his performances are there, send, and SOC reject. Send, reject. So the only one with a problem is SNOC. So back to what you said about, play ball. It's not as if everyone thinks I'm not playing ball, you know. The specialists in the sport, which is Singapore Athletics, they know, they are the ones that specialize in developing, nurturing, and nominating athletes for selection, and selecting athletes to go for world championships, all that kind of stuff. Only major games go on the SNOC. They are the ones, they think I'm fine. And they are the people I work closer with. They are the people that I tell them my training plan, my competition plan. They provide like pretty decent support. So Singapore Athletics, this new management has been great. They provide me with like, I think it was like $10,000 or $15,000 a year for travel and competition money, because I hit a SEA Games and Asian Games like qualification marks. So I went to Valencia recently, and I broke the. I went to Valencia because I didn't run the Asian Games. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go compete in a race that I don't have to deal with all that politics. I'm going to show you that I'm still the best. So I went there, ran 1 hour, 6 minutes and 45 seconds. En route, I also broke the 10-kilometer road record. So 2 national records in one race. Meanwhile, we didn't have a single distance runner at the Asian Games because no one else qualified. So that's the state of...
So there was no other distance runner?
No one else qualified. I was the only one that qualified. I was the first distance runner in the history of the Asian Games to qualify from Singapore. We haven't had any other distance runners qualify for 10K or marathon.
Yeah. So,
I qualify in both.
I mean, I just want to ask, so would you think it's better if SNOC has like very just blanket rule saying, you know, athletes should not have engaged on their social media or not talk about things related to sex innuendo, stuff like that on social
vulgarities.
media. Vulgarities on social media. Would you rather that they have that rule very clear so that you know exactly what you can or can't do?
I think that it would be clearer, and then it will be easier for athletes to know what to skirt around, because now we're guessing what do they think is. I mean, if I say both of you, like, okay, you guys go and qualify for this meet, but remember you have to be good role models and by my definition, good conduct, and I can suspend you at any time. Next thing, I see something I don't like on your social media. I say, that's not becoming of an athlete, is it? I mean, come on, you guys use on podcasts. It's not. Is like, podcasts. I mean, podcasts. I don't. What is your thought? Is it acceptable to use like the F word on the podcast?
Again, similarly, there's no real rule against it.
Yeah.
We have gotten some feedback from listeners saying that they listen with their kids around. Can you, especially Harish, stop using the F word that much? But to me, our approach to this podcast is we try to keep it as real and as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
And that is how we speak.
Yes.
So it is a very important, it's almost like kind of like the ethos of the podcast. So is it wrong? I'm sure some people might prefer if there's less swearing.
Correct.
But if we want to keep it real and make sure we are bringing our authentic selves, it is part of the conversation.
Correct.
Yeah. But
so that's part one.
Yeah.
Part two is, if you happen to say, okay, let's say the rule is you cannot say on a podcast, and it comes out, like I was talking, that race that day I fucked this up, and then you're like, oh shoot, there's that. What penalty does that warrant? Does it warrant an apology? Does it warrant a fine? Does it warrant non-selection for a major games that comes once every 4 years? I think there's a like again, this comes back to law, criminal law. I mean, these are the foundations of rules. Every offense has to have a proportionate penalty. Otherwise, justice is not seen to have been done.
Yeah. And
I can tell you, SNOC gets a lot of backlash whenever they don't select me, because people do not see that justice has been done. I think it's infinitely clear.
I would argue that the punishment ends up being all of Singapore gets punished. We get one less chance at a medal and one less chance of, like someone really putting our flag on the, at the podium and all. But talking about podcasts, I do want to ask you, do you, after everything, do you regret like going on the Silver Fox podcast and, saying what
I
you
don't
said?
regret, because how would I have known that they would pick on all these issues? And even if I didn't go on the Silver Fox podcast, they seemed intent on finding things anyway. You can't tell me that they came out with that 36-page document. Have you guys seen the document?
I've not read it.
Okay, I'll arrange for you guys to see the document. Let me check if that's possible. If you want to put it this way, this wasn't a fair trial. It wasn't a fair finding. It was, we don't want him to go. Let's reverse engineer a way to justify it. Simple as that. Maybe potentially when I had because a lot of what happened, a lot of the unhappiness between a lot of the dispute between myself and SNOC centered around they're giving Ashley a sportsmanship award. This is back in the day. I didn't believe that it warranted an award. I didn't believe that happened, but they want to dig their heels in. Fine. And then it's your award. Do whatever you want. But when I had that viral video going around, I believe what happened is that a lot of people started sharing that video, and a lot of people, a good number of people started tagging SNOC. And they're like, this is what true sportsmanship looks like. This is proof. This is a video of true sportsmanship. Is this guy going to win a sportsmanship? So, I mean, I put myself in the shoes of SNOC, and let's say, I don't know what their personalities are. I'm not them. But let's say, in theory, I was a petty person. Would that make me happier or unhappier? I think it will make a petty person unhappier. And like, basket, this guy, we let him go, and then now we're getting all this backlash for it. He's not going for the next one. I can see that being a scenario. I'm not saying that it happened. I'm saying it's a theoretical scenario.
So you're speculating that it is almost like a direct response to some of the stuff that happened at SEA Games and all that.
Maybe, maybe not. Of course, I mean, I'm not going to accuse anyone of that because it's very easily deniable without proof.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to piece together a scenario where it happened because it's in line with all this this petty action of disqualifying an athlete for all these reasons.
So do you sometimes ever think that okay, what if the past year I really played by the rules, and I could I really be the real Soh Rui Yong? Maybe 70%, but it is for the greater good of representing Singapore and winning a medal, so that we can change this mindset slowly, rather than going head on.
So Soh Rui Yong minus no social media.
Yeah, no social media.
Let's say Soh Rui Yong, you don't use social media.
So no podcast, no social media.
But you just
zero.
But you just run and
because my contracts that I make money from social media. Why should I turn off social media for a selection?
So there is that element.
And end of the day, I'm me. I'm not someone's bitch. I don't tell I'm not gonna be like, oh, you don't like this, okay, you don't like that, okay. Then that's what makes me a good competitor. I go, you give me pain, I give you pain. I'm not a bitch. You don't. I don't someone gives me pain. Okay, you win. I think that's why. I actually think that's why Singapore doesn't have many good endurance runners. Endurance runners, you need to be a strong person. You can't be weak. Sorry to say, I think that our system, especially when I observe this myself, we tend to hammer down the outspoken ones, the ones that can be strong, rather than nurturing them into becoming a stronger person, a stronger champion, a stronger athlete. If you look at every single good sports person in the world, they have a bit of a competitive streak. They have a bit of a personality, right? Ronaldo, Michael Jordan. Even Leo Messi, Leo Messi for many years, he was painted as the quiet one next to Ronaldo. At the World Cup, you can see he's also got a fierce streak. He was scolding one of the Dutch players, stupid face or something like that. I thought it was quite funny. I mean, there's no reason to he did that.
Zidane, World Cup winner, captain.
Exactly, it's a fantastic example. Captain, role model. He's got a streak.
Yeah,
it's just how well. It's just that's what makes competitors compete.
So what you're saying is that if you kind of tone down part of you,
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do anything, right? Of course, like the example I just gave. Oh, you don't like it? Okay, I'll take it down. I may or may not agree with you, but since you don't like it, and since you're the selectors, okay, I'll compromise. I'll take it down. I wasn't even compromising. I was doing exactly what they were unhappy. I was removing exactly what they were unhappy with.
Yeah.
After that, it's still okay. So I'm like, okay, what did I do that for?
But if there's someone that you trust, let's say, maybe from Singapore Athletics or something, if there's someone that you trust.
I trust Singapore Athletics. Okay. I think they do a fantastic job.
Yeah, but let's say someone there comes and tells you, hey, Ryong, we're gonna start helping monitor your social media a bit more to make sure that you don't post, anything that could upset people. You can still post, but you just come through us first and then you post.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, it's not that they don't ban you from using social media, but they sort of sanitize it according to what they think.
So this is why I have a lot of respect for Singapore Athletics, right? Like President Lien, General Manager Shalindran, and then Brian Peck was working there at that point of time as well. They actually were my guarantors to SNOC when I went to the SEA Games. They're they were the guarantors that they would monitor Soh Rui Yong's social media behavior.
They said it.
Yeah. Rui Yong is to consult them on social media posts before they put up. I mean, you see how ridiculous it sounds.
Was there a discussion about Cambro threesome?
Every one of my friends, not just in Singapore, every one of my friends overseas, they look at what's happening between myself and SNOC here. They laugh at us. They think Singapore is incredibly petty. It's a ridiculous place. It's a bit of a sitcom situation. It's not real life. Because my friends in the UK, why didn't you go for this meet? I explained to them clearly why. What? They didn't select you because of social media posts? And what did you say? Threesome? And you weren't selected for that? Or you weren't selected for... To them, it's just so bizarre that these things can happen. And it puts Singapore, it puts Singapore really in the realm of like authoritarianism almost, because it looks like, you know, the corporate suits like ruining sports and athletes.
But
I mean, you see, the reason why sports is popular is because it's an escape from everyday reality. If sports was exactly like corporate job or corporate culture, why would anyone watch sports? Just watch, just go into the office and look around. I mean, it's incredibly boring, right? Which is why you don't watch corporate culture. You watch sports because sports is a celebration of individuality.
Yeah.
Sports is a celebration of meritocracy. I believe that until recently, of course. Sports is a celebration of teamwork. Sports is a celebration of, you know, self-expression. With all of this, you can't do in the workplace. I mean, you know, you can't. It's a very different in corporate culture. So you can't copy and paste corporate culture and say, okay, athletes are all expected to behave like primary school kids.
Okay, maybe not
because they will run like primary school kids.
Sure.
And the athletes that very often the athletes that are like quote unquote well behaved, they aren't actually
the best.
They're not very good athletes. They don't know how to fight. They don't know how to. They're not strong people.
Sure.
They're weak. That's why they succumb to and they worship a higher power.
Sure.
That's not what we do. That's not what sports is about. That's not what being a champion is about.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so maybe not corporate culture, but say like both Shanti and you have spoken about how when you go to the games, it's like the whole team, Singapore team goes together, right? And then, you know, we've seen even a recent documentary, we saw David Beckham, you know, he was basically Alex Ferguson shipped him out of Manchester United in his prime also because they couldn't see eye to eye on certain things, right? So is there an argument that even though there is a bunch of individual sports in track and field, you're still thinking of it as a team? And if they feel that one person, if the manager of the team feels that there's someone who, you know, like ruffles feathers and, you know, makes everyone on edge, that this person shouldn't be part of the team going there. What do you say to that? I mean, like,
but do I ruffle feathers? Did any of my teammates complain about me from the recent SEA Games?
I mean, no, we haven't heard anything.
Zero.
Right?
Yeah, zero. Yeah. You know why? I'm a very popular man. Everyone loves me.
Very humble. Your
humility.
Yeah, I'm a very humble, popular man. They all love me.
But like, just to build on that a bit, like, there can be like likability, lovability, but if it is someone who is tasked with managing a team of athletes, if they make the call with whatever info they have based on what their strategy, is that wrong if they feel? Because any coach in the world, any manager in the world of a sports team, and not just team sports, I would imagine,
yes,
there is some thought like, okay, how can I make this group perform better?
Okay, then that's tell me the justification. Tell me, Rui Yong, you know, we feel that, you know, you're disruptive, yada, 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 you know, like, you know, the other your teammates don't like you, complain about you. They feel that even though you go and you win medals, you make them perform worse. And therefore, even though we win 1 medal from you, we lose 5 from other people. Fine, tell me that so that I can tell you that's not the case.
Yeah.
I make people perform better. People around me have told me that they spend time with me, they get inspired, and therefore they perform better. Because you're going to speak to any of my teammates, speak to Sean Go, speak to Jiva Nash, all these guys who have run their best races when they are with me or with something that I've done to coach and guide them. And that's quite interesting because I've actually started coaching a team in London, and 3 Brits and 1 German athlete. They seem to enjoy it. I get positive feedback. I know I'm an inspirational person. I know I can motivate people to achieve success in sport and especially in distance running because that is where my expertise lies. Now, do I ruffle feathers? I'm sure I ruffle some feathers because I'm a strong personality and people don't like potentially other people who want to be the alpha, they don't like strong personalities. They want to be the one in charge. They want you to suck up to them. I'm not going to do that. It's not me. I'm my own person. If I never run for Singapore again, I've said this many times before, I would still be completely fine. I would still run for Singapore. You know why? Because Singapore Athletics will still send me for meets, Asian Championships, World Championships. I got invited to the Asian and World Championships last year. I didn't go for either because I was focusing on Asian Games. And I didn't get selected for that. So, World Cross Country Championships in March.
Oh, so that is not under the jurisdiction of
the only
SNOC.
4 games under SNOC are the words with games in there. SEA Games, Asian Games, Commonwealth Games, Olympic Games.
Okay.
I see.
Everything else, I can represent Singapore for.
So you are still representing Singapore, lah?
Yeah. Most people don't get a difference because again, our appreciation for our average person's appreciation for sport in Singapore is not very nuanced because we don't have a sports culture. That's another conversation. But we just. I would still be fine if I never went for another SEA Games or Asian Games. It's just that every time I'm not selected, it destroys Singapore sports, the reputation of Singapore sports, because there's that controversy. Why is he not selected? Da, 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 da. I mean, if I was SNOC, just let me go. What damage can I do when I'm there? I'm not going to do any damage when I'm there. I went to SEA Games. There's no damage done when I'm there. But you create damage when you don't select me, and then it becomes an issue. Then I have to say something. SAA has to say something. Olympic Council has to say something, and people agree or disagree. I mean, I don't think SNOC won any positive PR from their decision.
But
I don't think they did.
Yeah.
I mean, any positive PR. So they need to ask their PR person what they're doing.
Talking about positive PR about things, right? I did read your Facebook posts after the decision was made announced and everything, lah. And there was more than one, and I think there was even a more conciliatory note.
Yeah, because I'm a very nice guy.
You wrote something quite like conciliatory with Tan Chuan Jin, specifically, right? About people screw up, things happen.
Honestly, at that point, my initial reaction was rage, because I was like,
rage.
I was like, this bugger, the last 3 years you've been screwing someone else. You try to espouse role model behavior, good conduct, all that kind of stuff. When you are cheating on your wife, you are lying to your family, you are lying to the church. I have zero respect for you. And I was just like, actually, you know what? His whole life just turned upside down overnight. Probably gonna lose his family. Definitely lost his job. I'm not sure if he's gonna probably lose his mistress as well. I feel pretty foreseen. So I was like, okay, actually his whole life just turned upside down. I would have loved to reconcile with him in sports at some point, but that opportunity has also gone. He's never going to come back to sports. Tan Chuan Jin doesn't do sports. He's not a very sporty guy. He's only there because of his political connections. So, I mean, probably. And I saw he deleted all his social media. Probably never going to see him again for a long time. So just be a bit nice and encourage people that, we all do make mistakes. His is a very public mistake, and he's a very serious, grave mistake. But at the end of the day, men cheat on their wives.
Yeah.
It happens. It's not acceptable, but in society, of course, but it happens. It's just that he's stupid. He went to do it with another member of parliament.
So, hypothetically, if you had a chance to actually meet him, what would you say to Tan
I'll say, hello, man. How's it going, man?
Well, you're in luck, Rion. Come on out, Chuan Jin.
No one knows where he is.
No one knows,
yeah. I even have friends who, they volunteer in, Marine Parade.
Yeah.
And, on his team, and he just ghosted them as well, because he just retreated off the face of the earth. So it's quite interesting, because to me, that shows no accountability, no balls. Because if you make a mistake, you come out and you admit it, you take the heat, you take the brunt of it. I mean, I've taken heat for things that I don't even think are mistakes. I've taken heat for things that are mistakes. Challenging authority, as justified as I feel might be a mistake. Might be a PR mistake, might be a selection mistake, whatever. I bear the brunt of it.
Yeah.
I don't turn tail and run. See, as a general. General, go and hide. Will you go to war with this man? I don't know.
So just now you mentioned you felt rage, and I'm sure when you didn't get selected, there must have been rage also. So how did you channel that, or how did you?
Okay, no, there was no rage when I was not selected. There was no rage when I was not selected, because I was just, at that point I was just like, it's more disappointment that someone or some people have not let go, and they continue to pick on inconsequential stuff and continue to destroy Singapore sports, continue to destroy Singapore distance running. I can contribute very positively to distance running. I'm a good athlete. I'm a good motivator. I'm a good coach. I've gotten this feedback from multiple sources. I don't feel the need to publicize it, but since we're on the topic, I can be a force for good in Singapore sports, but if you want to continually pick on these things, we're going to be stuck in this situation, and that's fine by me. I can focus on my own stuff. But I didn't feel rage. I felt rage when Chuan Jin himself, the president of the SNOC, was caught with all that stuff, because I was just like, come on, man. Like, okay, fine. You want to hold me to a abnormally high standard compared to other athletes. That's one thing. But it's another thing when you yourself are so messed up, and then you're trying to judge other people. And he got a lot of, I think, based on the comments I saw online every now and then, he got a lot of heat, but he also got a lot of heat linking it back to my case, which was incredibly funny, and like,
including on our podcast.
Yes.
It just karma comes full circle,
So like, how did you deal with that rage, or how do you typically? Because you mentioned that's what makes you an athlete. You're a fighter. So how?
Okay, so I channeled it by number one made me believe more in karma. So I might convert to Buddhism, because that was karma at its finest. Not to mention my wife now is Buddhist. But I was like, you know what? Fuck getting angry at these people. Waste of energy, waste of time. Let's be productive. What I'm going to do, I'm going to choose a race that I can train for, focus on that, perform well there, and let that be the final say. And I think I managed to do that in
Valencia.
In the Valencia half marathon. Yeah.
And you broke the 10K road record and the half marathon record.
Yeah. So with that, I now managed to own all the distance records, like 5,000 meter track, 5K road, 10,000 meter track, 10K road, half marathon. So no one has ever owned like 3, let alone 6. So that was a nice end to the.
And when you were running,
the end product of the whole situation, yeah.
I think you mentioned before what you think about when you're running, but was this part of, like, did it give you that extra?
There's a bit of motivation for sure, because it's like, you know what, I think we all draw motivation from various sources, right? And I think that while I would never ever try to use like negative stuff. Okay, like negative stuff can make strong motivations. I just prefer to usually look for positive stuff to motivate myself. But when something like negative like that happens, you use it as motivation. It can become very powerful. Give you the extra itch. Makes you hungrier. Like it. What's the saying? It's hard to get out of bed and run when you're in $2,000 silk pajamas, right? Like if you're rich and you're comfortable, you don't really have that itch.
Fine.
Well, yeah, when you're trying to overcome something, that's when you have the itch.
When you're pushed into a corner almost.
Yeah. And I'm 32 years old this year. I'm not a young man anymore. Like, I'm still young, but I'm still young, but I'm no longer like a 20-something-year-old young man. But the fact that I've rewritten every Singapore record. Now every single Singapore record has been set after I passed the age of 30.
Wow. Like the distance records.
Okay, sorry. The 5K was when I was 29, almost 30, 2 weeks before I turned 30. Everything else is I'm either 30, 31, or 32.
And what tends to be the peak for distance runners?
For many years in Singapore, like, people believe that 23, 25 was the peak. I think Mok Ingren peaked 23 to 25. Most of the other former record holders peaked, Supaya and all these guys, they peaked maybe mid-20s. So, like, I'm already getting like a lot of excitement from the Masters runners, because they're like, hey, Rui Yong, you're 32 years old, you're still improving. When you hit 35, you're going to be a Masters runner. We can't wait for you to come and really show how it's done. Because they're excited to see someone who in the 30s continue to achieve. I think when I was younger, I was more relatable to the 20-year-olds and maybe the JC kids. Now, Gen Z, I may be less relatable to them. I don't know, but who is getting inspired now is the Masters runners, those in the 30s who are like, hey, how come this guy is 30-something years old?
Globally, like amongst the world record holders and all, what they tend to peak at what age?
Exactly. So that's a very good follow-up question. Kipchoge set the world record last year, and he was very close to 40.
Really?
Yeah. Kelvin Kipton has broken his record, but he declares his age 24. I doubt. I think he's lying about his age. I think he's more like 28, 29. I think because you look at the wrinkles on his face and everything. Not to mention that age fraud is incredibly rampant in Kenya, because when you have all these 20-something-year-old guys who fake their age as 18 so they can go to World Juniors, and it just looks better on paper when you run 27 minutes for 10K at the age of 18 versus you're 25 years old.
Yes.
And you can win World Junior Championships. You can like get sponsored because sponsors also like if two guys, one is 27, one is 18.
18 makes more sense.
Yeah, 18 more sense lah. But but age fraud is
so
rampant.
That means you still have many years ahead of you lah.
For me, I really believe that I figured out a way to train now where A is sustainable and B I don't get injured. And I think that was a struggle for many years because it was always like, how much is too much, intensity and volume. You're trying to find the right balance. You get it wrong, you get injured. You train too little, you don't get fit. So I managed to find a very consistent program, which is why that, now I'm on a roll. I went to Valencia in very good shape. This year has been very positive. I think I set 4 national records this year. Missed one in the SEA Games 5,000 meter final by a couple seconds. And it's been a good year. I'm looking forward to next year because next year I'm also going to be coaching my group of runners in London for the London Marathon. So that's going to be a exciting development. And and if any Singaporeans want to come over to London and run, I'll be more than happy to guide them as well. But I'm very happy where I'm at.
I mean, we're recording this end of November, and you also have the Standard Chartered Marathon coming up
on Sunday.
In a few days.
And so that's the national championship. National championship is back. Yeah. So Singapore Marathon. They're not. Full disclaimer: I'm an ambassador for the event, but they didn't pay me to come on here and say all this. But like, I think they've done well to recover from COVID. They brought the national championships back. Singapore Marathon is always a special event for the local community because Singapore we are a small country, but we have a pretty decent running scene. Now I think a lot of people still don't know how to train properly for a marathon, which is where I'm looking forward to guiding people. If they ever want to take marathon advice from someone who has done it pretty well, I can give that advice. I can help people, and this race is something we all get excited about because the rest of the year people go to Korea, Japan, Spain, Australia to run marathons because it gives you a better time. But who can prove it in the race that matters? The tough one,
the humid one,
the hot and humid one, the hot and humid marathon where it's challenging. And some guys, they can run well in the cool, they cannot run well in the hot. Some guys run better in the hot, but not much difference in the cool weather. But if you can win in Singapore against your fellow Singaporeans, like when everything matters and it's on the line and top price is like $10,000, so it's quite a cool setup. And it's the toughest of all the marathons I run because of the heat and humidity and the need to adjust your expectations, pace, and all that kind of stuff. But if you pull it off, like, it's satisfying.
And you'll be competing in which?
The marathon.
The marathon. Okay.
Yeah, the half marathon. There's also a category. So Sean Go is doing that one. Sean went and been to Valencia. That was an example. I got to know Sean because the SEA Games. He was my apartment mate. Fairly inexperienced runner. Spoke to him about try overseas races. Like you might have set a good time. Through my network, I connected him with the race director of Valencia. Got him a sub-elite spot so he could start like near the front. He ran below 1 hour 10 minutes and he became only the 3rd Singaporean ever to run below 1 hour 10 minutes after myself and Mok Ying Ren.
So shit.
Yeah. And he was like, oh wow, like I never thought I'd be in this kind of company. So doing very well. He'll be racing the half marathon, and a lot of my training partners, Darren, Song Chi, the guys who train here in Singapore with me when I'm here, they're also doing the half marathon distance. So yeah, it's great. And this, if it's done well, it's going to be an event that everyone can look forward to every single year. But national championships.
Tristen Yeak.
Sorry,
one of the mics just popped. But I did want to just also ask about this Asian Games. I think for a lot of Singaporeans, they saw it as a very proud, happy occasion because Shanti Pereira, sprint queen, won the gold and everything.
I didn't watch the race, so I don't know. I was in class.
Okay. But I mean, but my question was like, from your perspective, how do you feel about the Singapore teams? Like, should we all be? How should you feel about? How do you feel about it? Like, do you feel happy for the team, or is there still like residual, like, this whole thing was just so screwed up and everything? Generally, how do you feel about the Asian Games for Singapore?
I didn't pay any attention to the Asian Games from Singapore because I wasn't there. I was doing my own stuff in London. So no reason to care. I mean, like, I'm very happy for Shanti that she won. In fact, regardless of how she did at the Asian Games, and I did post this on social media. Like, regardless of how she did, I was incredibly proud of her because of how much she overcome. Getting dropped from the SPEC scholarship back in 2018 because her performance, she was injured, so her performance was not good. They just dropped her, man. They dropped her, so she had lost of support overnight. SMU dropped her from the Yip Pin Siu scholarship because her grades were not good, which I thought was extremely odd because it's a sports scholarship. But welcome to Singapore. Sports scholarships shouldn't sports scholarships, and you have to maintain a certain GPA average when you're trying to. I think she had to maintain like a 3.5 GPA or something like that. It was quite difficult.
Wow.
It wasn't like easy.
Yeah.
I know another athlete that dropped from a NUS sports scholarship because she couldn't maintain a second upper status, and she was a law student. So I was like, how hard second upper is, and then she has to train and compete. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But Shanti got dropped from 2 scholarships in 2018. She overcame that. Almost quit in 2021, I believe. I think Coach Luis convinced her to push on. I love Coach Luis. I love Shanti. They're both good friends of mine. I will always root for them, and I'm happy that they got it done. Because this was her year. I really think if she had missed the Asian Games gold medal this year, it would never have happened. Because she's going to be in her 30s the next Asian Games, and sprints is slightly different from distance. You don't necessarily have that long a runway. So, hit it with an iron's hot. She got it this year, and it's fantastic. Yeah, she picked up a check for like $300,000 yesterday or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that public information?
Yeah, it was reported.
Okay.
$200,000 for the gold, $100,000 for the 100-meter silver, $10,000 for the 200-meter SEA Games gold, and $5,000 for the 100-meter SEA Games gold as well. So
wow,
yeah,
we're gonna get back on the podcast and ask for a treat.
20. I will caveat that 20% of that goes to Singapore Athletics.
Sure,
the current Singapore Athletics team, I think they deserve it. They've worked very hard to. I mean, I had this protest in 2017 where I protested giving because that team didn't help shit, but this team has done a very good job. So it's a testament to how much the management of a good management can help. Because if Lian, Marinda, and the current management board of directors, like management committee, hadn't won the election, taken over, I guarantee you Shanti would not have got a medal at this year's Asian Games. They helped immensely with the preparation and organized stuff and everything. Still a lot of room to improve in certain areas, but we're all works in progress, and they've done a good job. They've very flipped it over.
But have you ever thought about one day, joining the management of Singapore Athletics or even SNOC, to create the change from within?
Yeah. I think it's a lot easier said than done. I think that at this point of time, I have no, especially if I'm going to be working with people that are policing athletes' social media, I'll just fucking waste my time, bro. I got better things to do. I can coach, I can create a positive impact that way. If I'm not running, I can run, I can coach, I can work in. There's so many things outside of sports that I haven't explored yet. So I'll be keen to explore different jobs, different countries. World is your oyster. I don't have to be locked up in an office at SNOC talking about who should be selected and who's not, especially based on things like
running branding workshops and all.
I mean, exactly. I mean, I'll kill myself if I worked at SNOC and they told me to this guy find reasons to disqualify him, and I have to go and transcribe this podcast here like that, and then come bro threesome. Waste of life, I pity whoever had to do that.
I see. So I mean, speaking of things that are outside of running, right now, I mean, you've been studying law. You're in your final year.
Yeah.
Right. And you've been running in the UK as well.
Yeah.
Training hard. What is in the next 1 or 2 years? Are you going to still be training for the next games, the next SEA Games, and?
Yeah, I will be training. I mean, I will be training as an athlete to keep myself fit. And I will be training for the SEA Games because I approach every SEA Games with the assumption that I will be selected because I deserve to be selected. I'm the best. I'm a good role model. I have good conduct. There shouldn't be any reason to disqualify me. If you want to dig through your stuff and you find something, then that's another story. I will be coaching my group in London. Hopefully, we can get some good performances there. I've one athlete in particular I think is extremely talented, and I think he can go places for the UK. So I really hope that works out. I really believe in, if you're lucky enough to find something you love in life, like throw your heart and soul into it and see where it takes you, And I think I found that with not just running, but, like sharing that joy and like helping to develop equally passionate people. I'm not going to waste my time with people who are not passionate. I don't have to beg you to come and run. But, if you're interested, you're passionate, you have some talent, you want to nurture it, like I think I do a good job of nurturing that.
Was that a new thing? Like a new thing for you, that this passion that you discovered in
I've
coaching?
always coached. But it's the first time I'm running a group. I've always coached remotely, I've given advice. I coached the Filipino national champion actually. He was one of my rivals who got kicked off the national team, Rafael Polikut. So he asked me for a program. I coached him in 2018. He won the Filipino national championships. And they took him back onto the team because he beat their national team with my guidance. After all it took was like 9-10 weeks. That was because my program was a lot. I mean, like my understanding, my program was a lot. I feel it was a lot more structured than whatever he was doing before. So, I mean, the standards of coaching are very low in this region. I mean, I cannot understate that. I wouldn't trust many coaches with my program. In fact, even the coach I trust the most in Singapore, Stephen Kwek, he's a great coach. He's a very old school, like disciplined coach. His idol is actually Sir Alex Ferguson, I believe.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Man U fan as well. So apart from being a Man U fan, he's a great guy.
Thanks. Nice that you had to point it out.
Yeah. But no, Stephen Kwek, I owe a lot to him. I met him when I was a JC kid. I learned a lot from him, but I've also developed a lot of my own philosophy regarding training, regarding teaching, regarding like motivation. I'm definitely more progressive, and why wouldn't I be? I'm a lot younger. Stephen Kwek is more old school, but I think it's a good blend. Like the discipline of the old school approach with a bit more of an approachable, more progressive approach that works with the younger runners these days, especially in Europe. In Europe, it's more progressive. You can't just yell at people and tell them what to do. You can do that in Japan and China. You can't do that in UK.
Yeah. So then what does it mean to say you are running a group? That means
they call me the coach of the group. I just say I'm the mentor of the group, the leader of the group. We meet every Tuesday at the track. We meet every Saturday on the roads. And in between, I have this Excel. I have this like Google sheet that I write people's programs like this person. Monday to Sunday, I plan how your week looks like. What do you do? And then feedback after every hard session, feedback how you're feeling, plan what races to go for, what are your goals. I mean, a lot of it is like getting intrinsic motivation from that person. So you don't tell people what to do. I mean, I believe you don't tell people what to do. You say, what do you want to do? How do you plan to get there? Okay, this is how I think you can get there. And like, this is what you have to do. You're making this mistake in training, that mistake in training. Like, we need to do this and that. And I think I explain things. I can simplify and explain things quite well. I think that's one of the skills that I have, and I've been complimented on that. So I'm thankful that I can. Because some people, they're very smart, but they can't simplify things, or they can't explain things in a simple manner. So I managed to do that with running, and I think it really helps.
So then there's been a lot of things that you do well, right? So if I would ask you, like, what do you think is there any part of you that you think you need to work on, that you want to work on?
No, I don't have any weaknesses. No, not at all. No, and I think let's have a think about that. I think that I think for some examples, I can be quite okay. So many times your strengths are intertwined with your weaknesses. So for me, like, I'm a go-getter, no nonsense. Like, I know what it takes. But a lot of the same runners that now work, like, now are getting, like, now I'm leading them, I'm coaching them, whatever you want to call it. They used to think I was quite arrogant because the way I talk about training, I was just like, no, that's a bullshit session. Why would you do that? I just call it as it is. Like, I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna listen for 2 hours, or like I'm not gonna listen for 30 minutes about someone talking about his training and just like not quietly. I'm like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. That doesn't make sense. Actually, that's quite dumb. Yeah, better to hear it sooner than later. But that approach can be quite direct, and some people you can rub people the wrong way. It can cause they're arrogant, but if they can't take it, then no, don't run with me, go do your own program and get injured. I don't care. But yeah, I think that's the flip side, where I'm not sure if you can ever be everything to anyone, everything to everyone. You can be an extremely popular person. I think, look at politicians, right? You have a wide spectrum. Some people are some ministers are incredibly disliked. Some are more popular, like Tharman. I think they did a great job of managing things in such a way that even if you were an opposition supporter, you find it very hard to say something negative about Tharman. I mean, I monitored the presidential elections. I think all people negative they had to say was, oh, he's part of the system, how different can he be? But it wasn't like, he did this or he said that, or like he's an asshole because of this. You don't see much of that. You see it with the other guys, not with Tharman. So I guess we can all improve, and many times I think that I can improve. I mean, I can probably articulate better. I can maintain my cool better. I can try and stay more professional and get a better outcome while saying the same message. I think you can kind of tell that when I'm annoyed at something, I just say it as it is, even though sometimes maybe it's better to just shut up and like wait for think things through, wait for the opportune time. So these are the things that I would certainly like to work on. And I think that reflection is certainly useful. And I think I've definitely reflected on things that have happened in the past. I'm like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said this. Maybe I shouldn't have said this. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have listened to this person. Maybe I should have listened to that person. But I think hindsight is 2020. I think we all have things that we can improve on. But there's definitely things that I'll be conscious of moving forward.
No more threesome jokes. No more threesome
No,
jokes.
I'll still make threesome jokes. Those are not wrong. Screw you if you think that deserves a non-selection.
Threesome, foursome, all those jokes.
You need to get laid if the stick is that far up your ass.
Oh, that's awesome. So that means in the coming week, the most immediate thing is the Standard Chartered Marathon. And after that, you'll be back in the UK.
Yeah, then I fly back Monday. I've actually not seen my wife for almost 2.5, gonna be on 3 months now. Because we got married and then we went long distance right away. She's finishing her education in Shanghai. I'm finishing my education in London, and then we'll try and maybe settle down. She's actually okay. So she's my wife. A little bit about my wife. Her name is Natasha. Nantasha, not Natasha, but Nantasha is a Thai name, and she grew up near Bangkok, like one of the provinces around Bangkok. I think it's Nonthaburi, Thailand. So pretty cool experience going to a place. It's like kind of walking through a rainforest, like very beautiful, kampong-ish. When it rains, you can actually like take your boat and row out of the house to the Bangkok River.
Oh shit!
Yeah, cool experience, and I'm very fortunate that I managed to find a partner from a very different like background, very different culture. Because I think I learned so much just by spending time with someone from a different culture. And yeah, I'm very fortunate I met someone that is willing to like do long distance and still date, because we see each other like maybe one third of the year.
Oh, when you said do long distance, I thought she runs also.
No, she does not. She does not run. She does not run. She's the furthest thing from a long distance runner. Yeah, she see me coaching all these people, and she's like, "Oh, you can also coach me." I'm like, "You don't listen to me. How the f am I supposed to coach you?" Because like she's a very nice person. Yeah. She's very nice to all my friends. She'll be very nice to both of you, but she's completely different with me. It's like when she's with me, she's the queen.
Oh, she's the Rui Yong in your life,
I would call it that. I'm too unique. There's only one of me.
No, so I must give you credit for your professionalism, because the last time when we were supposed to record, when you were back in Singapore, you told me at the last minute, "Hey bro, sorry, I really can't because I'm getting married tomorrow. But how about I come the day after?" Then we were like, "Hey Rui Yong, you just got married. Just go enjoy yourself." Yeah. But you still wanted to try to record the podcast.
Yeah,
I remember that, and I was like, "No man, wow, this guy, he sticks to his word." But yeah, you just got married, spend time with your wife. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I actually wanted to come the day after, and I think we may have talked about it. But then what happened was that I had a few drinks. Obviously, it was my ROM. Got a bit drunk, and then in my, I wasn't like I wasn't like an idiot, right? But I was like high, and then I think the friends wanted to go to Sentosa the next day, go to university. I said, "Okay, I take you," not forgetting that we had the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I think the next day I
said sorry, you can't make it.
Sorry,
yeah.
think I promised yesterday I need to take them to Universal Studios.
Oh yeah, so that was what happened on the day itself. You said, sorry, I promised to take because I got married yesterday, but maybe we can reschedule. And you're like, what? You got married yesterday?
And then you send us a selfie of yourself with a bunch of like Thai.
Yeah, those
women.
Are her friends that had come down from Thailand.
At Universal Studios. So we're like, that's
prove that you were there. And we were like, oh, Rui Yong, solid.
You wasn't just ghosting us.
Yeah, because the thing is to use an excuse, I got married yesterday, we're like, okay, this guy's not faking it. Like, that's probably the worst excuse to think of as a fake excuse.
Yeah, it was great. Her friends came over. We had a good time. Yeah.
Can I just register? I'm very glad to see that, I mean, in spite of all that was happening, because I think we were quite like worried in some sense of like how you would react to things like that. And, I mean, it can be make someone very angry, very bitter.
Yeah, we were pissed.
We were so pissed off. So I'm very happy to see that. I mean, there was maybe a moment of rage, but also, you're also just like, okay, fine, and moving on. And still being able to represent Singapore, maybe not in the games, but in other things. And and getting married and, just moving on with life and not being so caught up with things from, jokes from the past or even like podcasts and things like that.
Yeah, because I think I'm a very magnanimous professional man. I'm a good role model.
You work on your arrogance.
Extremely humble as well.
It would have been nice to just end it.
You were already ending off in a very humble way.
I saw the improvement.
I gotta keep people guessing. Are we done?
I mean, now we just have that final segment of the one show thing. Yeah.
As usual, time flies.
I
mean, here I feel like 1 hour, like 2 hours feels like 30 minutes.
Oh, solid, man. Yeah.
It's like you could run a marathon in this time.
Exactly.
But yeah, the final section is the one show thing. We give you a bit of a heads up. Terrence, you have your one show thing?
My one show thing is actually just the NBA regular season. This year they're doing something quite different that's quite interesting. They're introducing a in-season tournament. Because what they found that over the years, nobody follows the regular season anymore. Everyone just like whatever and then just watches the playoffs, right? So they wanted to make it more competitive by planting a mid-season tournament in the middle of the season. And it's quite interesting because it's basically like Champions League format, group stage and after that knockout stage. And I think whoever wins, the team that wins the mid-season tournament, every player gets $500,000 or something.
Nice.
So there is actually motivation, and it's sort of reinvented and reinvigorated the NBA regular season, making the matches in November, October actually consequential for the first time.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite fun because everyone's actually like playing very hard and it makes it worth watching again. Yeah. So
awesome. Which is your team?
I'm all for like the old people doing well. So LeBron, Steph Curry, they're all like late 30s already.
Awesome.
I'm very happy to see that they're still like playing very well. Yeah. So I'm rooting for these guys, the older guys. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. My one shock thing is also related to sports, also related to older sportsmen. Because like the one thing I remember when watching Premier League in Singapore and all, there used to be the panel commentators. Even now, I mean, it's been there for a long time. But in the UK now, I think I mentioned some pundits like Gary Neville and Roy Keane who used to be legendary players. Now they are pundits. But there's one show where there's Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher, and Micah Richards and Kate Abdo, and they have a 4-person kind of like panel show. And I mean, I know like for people who don't watch soccer, you might wonder who the hell these people are, but these people were all, or at least Thierry Henry and Jamie Carragher were legends.
Yeah.
Micah Richards was a guy who came out like with so much potential, but didn't really reach that potential. But the dynamic between the four of them, they are so entertaining to watch.
Yes.
It's like almost, NBA has that show with Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and the TNT. Yeah. So these four, they joke, and I mean, I grew up like hating Liverpool and hating people like Jamie Carragher, but I love him. He's so funny, and just their dynamic. And I think it's more fun because we saw them play, and then now hearing them talk, it's like the old school mentality towards like some of the stuff you say, which I also agree. If you're sports, you go in, you're fighting a war, like you don't in the tunnel, you shake hand before the game on. You're like, fucking no, man. You till the final minute. So they all have that same spirit. So it's nice to watch. It's very entertaining.
And they're not very filtered also, right?
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, so SNOC will have banned all of them. if they're Singaporean,
Correct, all banned.
no Thierry Henry, no Jamie Carragher. Thierry Henry handball, and then I remember when he represented France, these guys are cheater. No, he can't represent.
I mean, people like Zinedine Zidane also will be dropped. A red card or.
So I think issues with our society, culture, the culture that we set. I think some questions to be asked. I mean, my one Shiok thing is that for the first time in 4 years, the Singapore Marathon National Championships is back. I mean, if you're in the running community, that's the big news of the year, of the week, really, because we're running today is Thursday, we're running in 3 days' time on Sunday, 4:30 a.m. on Sunday, and it finishes at a national stadium. So, honestly, I have my doubts if Standard Chartered Singapore Marathon would recover from COVID, but they have managed to rebound, and I look forward to racing there this weekend, Sunday.
That's
be
awesome.
cool.
And it's the first time since the last edition was 2019. Is it end of 2019?
2019.
Oh, there was no run last year. I thought
there was a run last year, but it was half scale. No national championships. Hugely reduced price purse, so it didn't get much interest from the local community.
But when they got you as an ambassador, they never go through your social media and ask you to remove posts or.
Never. Well, they know I'm awesome. That's why they got me. But Standard Chartered Singapore Marathon, congratulations, welcome back. We love this race because it's our home race. We all want to do well there. And now with hopefully the Standard Chartered Singapore Marathon back, we can discover new talents and move forward from here. As someone who has been running marathons this will be my 12th marathon, and I've been running marathons for 9 years. I think that I managed to gain a certain level of experience. Starting to get to the point of my career where I'm happy to take on athletes and mentor them. So if you ever want to have running advice, you can be fast, slow, working, professional, whatever you want to do, just send me a message on Instagram or email. My email is Soh Rui Yong @runsofast.com, and I think I'm entering the phase of my life where I want to share experiences and
give back.
Hopefully make better runners.
And your Instagram is also
Run So Fast.
And that's RUNSOHFAST.
Exactly.
Solid, man. Awesome. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for joining us again, Rui Yong. And for all you listening, remember, just follow us on Apple, Spotify, social media, hit subscribe, notifications. And if you want to work with us, you can reach us at contact@ministryoffunny.com. All right, bye.
Hey, good job, man.